Welcome. So have all the usual fun stuff out and available, and we are going to start standing up. Go ahead, stretch your arms up and overhead, hook your thumbs together, and begin to shift your weight from side to side. Work up a good yawn or two. Shift your weight all the way from one side, all the way to the other. And then come to neutral. Stretch tall, stretch high up. And as you exhale, press your breath out, pull your belly in. Turn your palms forward, take a great big shoulder shrug, a great big yawn. And as you exhale, drop your shoulders down away from your ears. Inhale, both arms up and overhead. Interlace your fingers. Turn your palms up towards the sky. Take a great big inhale. And as you exhale, draw your shoulders down away from your ears. Put your head on level and straight. Squeeze your elbows in towards one another so you feel a bit of a wrist stretch. For a little bit more stretch in those wrists, push your thumbs up and pull your pinky fingers back. As you do that, keep a slight bend in your knees and your belly pulled in, trying to stay upright, tall, and neutral. From here, bend your elbows, bring your hands behind your head. Take a great big chesty breath. Big inhale. And with knees slightly bent, go ahead, exhale and release. Let those arms swing. Start crossing in front. Big swings, big breath. Maybe even yawn. And then cross that right arm on top. The right arm on top. Don't cross the wrong one. Cross the right one on top and give yourself a great big hug. Drop your shoulders down away from your ears. Maybe tick-tock your head side to side. Wiggle your jaw. Maybe even yawn. And then with your arms tightly crossed, you have the option to flip the bottom arm up, wrap the top arm around it. Press your elbows forward, pull your waistline back, put a slight bend in your knees. Lean into that spot between your shoulder blades. Now you can get a little bit of a gravity assist on this one. Keeping your knees slightly bent, hinge over. Gravity will pull on those elbows and give you a little bit more spread across your shoulder blades. If you wanted to get really fancy with this, you would shift all your weight onto one foot. Maybe flip the other foot up off the ground. And then come all the way up. And release, let those arms swing. I'm gonna start crossing the leftover arm, the other arm, the left arm on top. And then give yourself another big hug. Drop your shoulders down away from your ears. Wiggle your jaw, maybe even yawn. Stay here if you like, or double cross. Tangle up those arms a little bit further. Again, you can give yourself a little bit of a gravity assist, hinging forward. Maybe shifting all your weight onto one foot, maybe balancing on one leg. Whatever you choose to do, keep breathing. You really want to challenge yourself to think about sliding your elbows back and forth. Giving yourself a little bit more stretch between those shoulder blades. And then come back to standing and release. All right, you got a belt nearby? I recommend that you grab a hold of it. I got it. I killed my first mosquito of the night. All right, you're gonna take that belt behind your back, almost as if you're putting it on, like a belt. Then grab hold of it. You want it narrow, about hip width apart. Thumbs pointing out to the sides. Shoulders shrug back and down. Straighten your arms behind you. Curl your knuckles in towards your butt. Begin to lift your arms away from your back, any amount at all. Take your feet about as wide apart as your mat. Put a generous bend in your knees and hinge over and let gravity help pull those arms away from your back a little bit more. And of course, you can stay upright for this one. You had a large dinner, you don't have the best balance going on right now. For whatever reason you want to stay upright, you can do this one. And if you are bent over, go ahead, stand up, come on up. Now, notice the distance between your hands. I've got mine about hip width apart. As I take my hands wider apart, it's easier to let out slack than it is to take it back in. So be conservative. Start with your hands narrow, about hip width apart. Let out a little slack. Give yourself a little bit more distance between your hands. And lift those arms up. Again, an option to bend your knees, hinge over, let gravity help pull those arms away from your back a little bit further. Maybe your arms will move a little further away from your body with a little bit more slack between the arms, a little bit more distance between your hands. And then slowly come all the way back up to standing. Third time's the charm. This time, you're going to let out enough slack so that maybe, you're going to let it out a little bit at a time. Maybe you can get your arms to flip over. You can also do that one bent over. Start narrow, hinge over, let out only enough slack, only as much as you need to get your arms to flip. And then you get to stand back up. Now we're going to do that in front. Start with your hands about shoulder width apart. Turn sideways, you can see that. About shoulder width apart here. Shoulders up, back, and down. Belly pulled in, knees slightly bent. Rev your engines, knuckles curl down towards the ground. And lift your arms up. Engage like you're trying to rip the belt apart. So turn on your muscles. Get a good grip on that belt and try to rip the belt apart. This will unlock your elbows by bringing those arms back a little bit more. Keep trying to rip the belt. Bring those arms back even more. You're going to have 3 shots at this one. And then release. So there's a way to cheat, and you're cheating yourself if you do this. If you think of your rib cage like a lampshade, if you let that lampshade tip forward, let the light shine forward, you're arching your upper back. You're not giving yourself more shoulder mobility. So your challenge, if you choose to accept it, if you don't want to cheat on this one, is to keep your lampshade tipped down. Keep those front ribs tucked in and repeat. So with those front ribs tucked in like you're getting tickled, guarding against being tickled, keep your lampshade down and repeat. Hands about shoulder width apart, knuckles revved down towards the ground, and your arms up overhead. Engage like you're trying to rip the belt. Well, engage some of your arm muscles. And bring your arms back only so far as you can go without your front ribs poking out. Again, if I let my ribs poke out, this happens. And it looks like I've taken my arm further back, but all I did was arch my spine. All right, if you let out a little bit of slack, you might be able to bring your arms a little further back without your front ribs poking out. Keep pulling on that belt, elbows are unlocked, your arms are working, and then bring it back in front. So third time's the charm. Again, it's easier to let out slack than it is to take it back up. So start narrow, shoulders up, back, and down, knees unlocked, front ribs tucked in like you're getting tickled. Arms up. Engage. Try to rip that belt apart. Turn your muscles on. Start to move your arms back. Move your arms back, move your arms back. And maybe let out a little slack. Keep moving your arms back. Don't let your ribs poke out. Let out a little bit more slack until maybe, just maybe, you can get your arms to flip backwards without your ribs poking out. And then that belt will go over your right shoulder. Great big inhale, both arms all the way up and overhead. And exhale, press your breath out. Pull your belly in. Great big inhale, arms all the way up and overhead. As you exhale, bend that right elbow. Give yourself a pat on the back. Reach down, find that belt. Find that belt with your right hand. Left hand comes up and over to that right elbow, and you're going to push that right arm bone into socket and then drag the arm behind your head. Keep pushing that arm bone into socket even as you drag it back behind your head. Stand up nice and tall. Find your front ribs. They might be poking out. You might put a slight bend in your knees, do a little pelvic thrust, tuck those front ribs in like you're getting tickled. Stay here if you like. Or if it works for you, you have the option of taking that left hand up from below, holding onto the belt, or maybe touching fingertips together. Keep on breathing. So this does require that this left rotator cuff rotates. This left arm rotates in the shoulder joint, so your palm faces back behind you, and that left shoulder kind of slouches forward. You get that left hand up between your shoulder blades. And again, it's kind of cheating if you let your ribs poke out. It doesn't look that great either. Keep your front ribs pulled in. And then release. Second verse, same as the first. The belt goes over the left shoulder. Left arm up, both arms up. Go ahead, bend that left elbow, give yourself a pat on the back, grab a hold of that belt. Right hand comes over to that left elbow, plug that left arm into the socket, drag that arm behind your head. Head's on straight, knees bent, belly pulled in. Breathing. Stay here if you like, or rotate that right arm, palm faces behind you, that right shoulder slouches forward, and then that right hand slides up between the shoulder blades. So hold on to the belt, or maybe touch fingertips together. And if one side is always a little bit more flexible than the other. Most of us are right-handed, right dominant. We tend to have a little bit more muscle on the right side of our bodies, a little less flexibility on the right side of our bodies. Vice versa if you're left dominant. Keep on breathing. And then release. All right. If you like belt play next week, I believe it's next week, we're going to be doing a whole lot with belts. So if you only have one belt, you can borrow a second belt for next week. Make an effort to have more than one belt for next week. One will do, but two's better. All right, we're going to make our way down to the ground and keep loosening things up. So pillow, if you like it, for underneath your knees. And come on down to hands and knees. On hands and knees, we'll do some cat and cow. Toes curled under just for fun, so you get a bit of a toe stretch. Begin with an inhale, head up, tail up, come into your cow. And as you exhale, press your breath out, pull your belly in, come into cat. Inhale for cow. And exhale for cat. Keep on moving back and forth through cat and cow. And the next time you exhale into that cat pose, hold your belly in as you come to a neutral flat back. And you might lift your head up and have a quick look at to see what's going on with the screen. Now I'm going to keep my spine neutral and flat. I'm going to try keeping this tabletop orientation with my torso. Long, flat, linear spine. But I'm keeping my arms straight as well. I'm going to let my heart, my chest, lift and lower as if on an elevator between my arms. It kind of looks like this. So as I let my heart sink, my shoulder blades come up onto my back. And then as I lift my heart up, my shoulder blades spread apart. So this is what the side view looks like. Notice my arms stay straight the entire time I do this. And that's what the profile view looks like. I'm going to turn and face the screen. Maybe that will inform you a little bit more. Again, my arms stay straight, my spine is neutral, flat, and I'm lifting and lowering up and down through my arms. So please join me. I remember years ago watching PBS nature specials with my grandma. She always called them sex and violence. We'd watch lots of sex and violence on PBS. We loved watching those nature shows. And they had like the Jesus lizard doing push-ups in the desert. This is kind of the Jesus lizard movie. This one always makes me think of grandma. So lift and lower your heart up and down through the goalposts of your arms. And then when you've done enough Jesus lizard push-ups, we're going to do a little bit more stuff to loosen up the shoulders. So notice my hands are flat. My hands are moving nowhere, but I'm rotating my arms so you can see my elbow pips turn forward, my elbow pips turn backwards. Elbow pips forward, elbow pips back. Pips and points. Pips and points and pips and points. I'm going to encourage you to do the same. Rotate your elbows this way and that way. And then we're going to incorporate this elbow rotation thing into our cat and cow in the following way. When you exhale, come into your cat pose, rotate your elbows to show me the points of your elbows. Your shoulders will hike up around your ears. And then as you inhale into your cow, elbow pits shine forward and your heart melts down. Your shoulder blades can come up onto your back, kind of do what Jesus was with the hand too. As you exhale into your cat, spread between the shoulder blades, show me the points of your elbows, let your shoulders hike up around your ears for cat. So let's do this. Synchronize breath with movement, put it all together. Do a fancy cat and cow. Begin with an inhale. And as you exhale, shoulders hike up around your ears, show me the points of your elbows. As you inhale, come into your cow, let your heart melt through your arms, show me the pits of your elbows. And then keep on moving. Exhaling for cat. Inhaling for cow. With added arm rotation stuff. And your heart lifting and lowering. A little bit more dynamic than your standard spine waving cat and cow. And then come to neutral. Big toes come together, knees spread apart. You're gonna back your hips up to your heels. Crawl your hands out in front. Come up onto fingertips. Hips stapled back over your heels. Walk both hands over to the right, off the side of your mat. Let the left side of your body yawn open. And then walk both hands all the way over to the other side. Feel the stretch on the other side of your torso. And then come back to neutral. So we're going to incorporate a little bit more breath and movement into this side stretching version of child's pose in the following way. You'll walk both hands over to the right. Feel that stretch on the left side of your body. And as you inhale, let the left side of your body open up towards the sky. Maybe even push into that bottom hand. Arch your left side open towards the sky. And then as you exhale, as if you suddenly got tickled here, contract, round, press down towards the ground. Inhale, stretch up and open. Air out your armpit. And then as you exhale, get tickled, round down. How about 2 more breaths here? Inhale, stretch and open. Big breath. Exhale, contract, close up shop. And final time. Big inhale, big breath. And exhale. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Sweep all the way over to the left. Feel that stretch through the right side of your torso. Left hand planted on the floor, right arm can float. As you inhale, open, open, open. Maybe push into that bottom hand a little bit. Exhale, close up shop. You know what to do. How about 3 more breaths here? One more. Do it for the children. And exhale, release. All right. Once again, coming to hands and knees. Let's do a little bit more for the wrists. Put my hands on contrasting color here. Hands on the floor, you're going to spin your fingers out to the sides, all the way around to point back towards your knees. Spin both hands all the way around, out to the sides, point back towards your knees. Then shift your chest forward and put a bend in your elbows. For a number of us, that's enough stretch right there. If you need more, keep your elbows bent and shift your weight backwards. Intensify that stretch up your forearms. Do your best to keep breathing. you're not feeling the stretch, make sure you shift forward, bend your elbows. Keep your elbows bent if you want to stretch. And then to bail out, shift forward, spin out, and then roll out. Fan your fingers. Big loopy circles. And other way, big loopy circles. All right, padding for your knees, blocks for your hands. Step forward with your right foot into a nice long, low lunge. Shrug your shoulders back, lift your chest up. My foot's out of frame, but it's there at the end of my leg. Scooch that front foot forward so the toe sticks out past your knee. So you peer down over that kneecap, you can see your big toe. Then using your blocks, you're gonna back it up. Stay there, I'm gonna turn sideways, you're fine the way you are. Back it up, still with that right foot forward. Put all your weight on the back knee. Shrug your shoulders up, back, and down. All your weight down on the back knee, you're gonna zip up your tight yoga pants, tuck in your front ribs like you're getting tickled, engage your abs. Right hand can rest on your lap. Inhale, sweep your left arm up. Keeping your belly pulled in, your left arm reaching for the sky, resume the lunge. Drop down into that lunge again. And then pull your tummy in, back it up. And we'll repeat, same thing, same side. Same thing, same side. So backing up. Once again, your right hand's on your lap. Your belly's pulled in nice and tight. You're going to sweep that left arm high into the sky. This time as you exhale, resume the lunge, drop back down into it. And then you have the option of tipping over into a bit of a side stretch. Now your right hand can find the floor or the block, or can stay on your lap, whatever works for you. The hand in the air, that's your left hand. You're going to reach through the fingertips, sweep back through the thumb. Maybe turn your head to gaze upward. Do your best to keep breathing. And with an inhale, come up, and exhale, back out. Second verse, same as the first. Let's switch sides. Left foot forward. Nice long stride between your feet. Front foot inches forward so the toe sticks out past the knee. Back up. Put all your weight on that right knee. Zip your tummy in. Left hand will rest in your lap. Right arm reaches for the sky. And drop forward into a lunge. Staying upright the first time around. Testing your balance. Now, balance is an issue. Think about broadening your base of support. Maybe wiggle that front foot a little bit wider to be more stable. All right, back it up. That was the practice round. We're going to do it for real now. So as you exhale, pull in those front ribs, zip up your tight yoga pants, sweep that right arm high to the sky, resume the lunge, and tip over into a bit of a side stretch. Again, this bottom hand can be on the block or on your lap, whatever works best for you. Top hand reaches through the fingertips, sweeping back to the thumb. Maybe turning to look underneath that armpit. Great big side stretch. And then release. All that fun stuff was prep, warm up, so that we can come into everybody's favorite downward facing dog. So bottoms up, come up into that downward facing dog. Take your feet about as wide apart as the mat and take that happy dog for a walk. Swing your hips from side to side. Pick up one heel, then the other. Maybe pivot on your toes from one side to the other. Try to stretch those side lines of your body a little bit longer. You're going to toe walk your feet narrow, close to one another. You're going to rise up onto your tippy toes. Feel your toes stretching. Bend your knees to come hover 1 inch off the mat. Make sure your abs are engaged. Knees are 1 inch off the mat. Keep your belly pulled in like you're getting tickled. And then lift your hips up again. Press your left heel down. Launch your right leg high to the sky. All the while, your belly is still pulled in. Opening up that right side for a bad dog at the hydrant. Keep your tummy pulled in, like there's a camera trained on it. Belly pulled in nice and tight. I'm going for a side stretch, not a back bend. And then release. Rise to tippy toes, bend your knees all the way down to the ground. Untuck your toes, back your hips up, and take a moment to roll out those wrists a little bit. We'll do the bad dog on the other side in just a moment. Give those hands a little bit of a rest. So yes, if you come into your bad dog with no ab control, you'll throw yourself into a back bend and you might get a back ache. So it's better to not do the contortion version of this one. Unless you have a spine that's capable of doing contortion. Most of us don't. I encourage you to keep your abs pulled in. That's enough commercial break for you. We're going to come back to hands and knees. Toes curled under. Exhale, pull that tummy in. Lift your knees off to hover. Make sure your abs are engaged. And then bottoms up. Step your right foot narrow to the middle of your mat. Launch your left leg high into the sky. Keep your tummy pulled in. Opening up that left side body. Big stretch. Go ahead, take that left foot all the way forward to the very front edge of your mat. Grab it, move it forward, get it up there. Then walk both hands over to the middle of your mat. And then rearrange yourself any way you want. You're going to find yourself in a wide-legged forward fold. Maybe orienting so you can see the screen. It's up to you. And then bow forward. Your head. Toes are turned in slightly. Knees are unlocked. Head is hanging down. When you find your balance, take your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers. Squeeze your shoulder blades, squeeze. The shoulder blades narrow as you press your knuckles up towards the sky. Back of your neck is long and wrinkle-free. Top of your head hanging towards the ground. And you're breathing. And then hands come to your hips. Hands slide down your legs all the way down to the floor. Turn your toes out. Heels in, toes out. Bring your hands up to your inner thighs. Press one knee wide. Press the other knee wide. Shrug your shoulders down your back. Lift your head up, but drop your hips down low. You're doing like a sumo squat here, a horse stance. Knees wide, feet wide. Shoulders down away from your ears. Bracing your hands on the inside of your legs. You can have your fingers turned in, fingers turned out. You can be on fists, whatever. Go ahead, drop your left shoulder in and turn to look over your right. Right, left shoulder blade peel away from your spine. And inhale to center. And exhale, switch, twist the other way. And inhale, center. That felt so good, I want to do it again. Go ahead, twist. Repeat. And inhale, center. Exhale, twist, looking over your left shoulder. And then come to neutral. Hands come to the floor, toes turn in, heels kick out. Once again, find yourself in that forward fold. Slight bend to your knees. Walk both hands over towards the right foot. And hold on to that right calf. Maybe hold on to the right foot with both hands. Let your head hang. Let both elbows hang. And then sweep all the way over to the other side. Again, hold on with both hands. You can hold on to the calf, maybe the foot, whatever you have there. Let those elbows bend. Let your head hang. And then come back to neutral. You're going to put a bend to your knees. Walk your hands up your lap. Slowly roll all the way up to standing. And then you can stay together. Take a leg or two. All right. Once again, take your feet wide. You might orient to look towards the screen for this one. Take your feet nice and wide. Put your ankles underneath your wrists. With a wide enough stride between your feet, ankles go underneath wrists. And then turn your right toes out. Turn your left toes in. All 10 toes kind of pointing over to the right. Inhale, both arms come up and overhead. As you exhale, find those front ribs, tuck them in. Pull your tummy in nice and tight. Then extend out over that right leg. Make sure that right knee is unlocked. Extending out over that right leg. Right hand can rest lightly on the shin, or if you have a block handy nearby, you have your hand resting on a block. This arm in the air is participating. So let's bring that top hand forward like you're high-fiving somebody. Push into that top hand, and as you do so, exhale, pull your tummy in. And then you might go to turn your chest open a little bit more. Bottom shoulder shrugs away from your ear. Front ribs are still tucked in. A little bit more shoulder stuff here. Let's take that top hand, rotate so the palm faces behind you, and take the back of your hand around the small of your back. And breathe. And then from here, untangle. Lift that top arm all the way up. And let's switch sides. If you have blocks, go ahead and move it to the other side. All 10 toes pointing over to the left. Left knee unlocked. Inhale, both arms up. Front ribs pull in. Abs are active. Stretch out over that left leg. Stretch, 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 stretch. And then left hand can rest on the shin or on the block. Right arm in the air, palm forward. High five. Pull your tummy in, turn your chest open a little bit more. Take the back of your hand and wrap it around the small of your back. And then untangle. Lift up through that top hand and all the way up to standing. And go back to that first side. If you only have one block, park it to the outside of your ankle. If you got two blocks, have one at either end of your mat. All 10 toes turn to the right. Big inhale, arms up and overhead. This time as you exhale, lower your arms level with your shoulders and let your right knee bend. I'm going to do a warrior two. So have a nice wide stride between your feet. Your ankles underneath your wrists. And then we're going to stretch out over that right leg. Stretch, 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 stretch. You're going to stretch, stretch, stretch. And then find these side ribs like you're getting tickled. And as if someone was tickling you, you're going to use that right elbow and make them stop. So stretch nice and long, and then exhale, make them stop. Elbow gets down here on the inside of your thigh if you do that. If you make them stop, you can get the elbow down on the inside of your thigh. And maybe if you can get that elbow down lower than your inner thigh, you might eventually be able to flip that hand underneath one day. What do you do with this top hand? Well, you take that top hand, turn it, back of your hand goes around the small of your back, and maybe touch your fingertips. If not, you fake it, and you smile, and you breathe. You want even more stretch? Think about straightening that right leg. Ooh, a bound triangle pose. Super fancy. Advanced move. And then if you've had enough of that, go ahead, release, come all the way up. and let's switch sides. The block is there in case you need to grab it for balance. The bound version doesn't work for you, that's fine. Inhale, both hands up. As you exhale, pull in your front ribs, pull in your belly, and then let that left knee glide out to the side. You're gonna stretch out long to the left side, and then ward off the tickles. Sometimes it helps to do that 2 or 3 times to really exhale, engage. Maybe that elbow gets a little bit lower each time. Eventually, if you can get that elbow lower than your thigh, you can flip the hand backward. Top arm, palm faces behind you. Wrap it around the small of your back. Maybe you can make a connection when your hips touch. If not, just fake it, no one's looking. Breathe. And then if you want to go for the full fancy version, you work on pulling that leg straight, flipping over into your bound triangle. I'm kind of faking it here. And then go ahead, rebend. Inhale, come all the way back up. Whew. And you can step your feet together. Big inhale. Big exhale. Turn your palms forward, great big shoulder shrug. Very good yawn. After that, we need a good twist. So again, you're gonna take your feet wide. Again, you're gonna turn your toes to the right. Then you're gonna take this back left foot and hike or hop this left foot over a little bit more. You see my feet, it's like opposite diagonal corners of the mat. You got length and width between my feet so that I can pivot my hips. Roll this left hip forward. Both arms, inhale, up and overhead. As you exhale, let that right knee bend. Bring into your warrior one. And then release, come on up. We're gonna repeat, same side. This is your left arm, your left leg, your left arm. Inhale, both arms up and overhead. As you exhale, pull your tummy in, bend that right knee. Get ready to take this left side diagonal across. I am pivoting from the heel and the hip and the shoulder, the entire torso, everything. I'm even picking up that back heel and letting this entire left side pivot and rotate to come across to click that left elbow to the outside of the right knee. And then bring the hands together. And then release. Big inhale up. And step forward, step back. Let's do the same thing on the other side. So nice wide stride between your feet. Left foot forward, right foot back. Switching sides. Opposite diagonal corners of the mat. Big inhale, both arms up and overhead. Exhale, belly strong. Come into that warrior one. Just to test your balance. You got a good length between your feet, good width between your feet. Okay. Inhale, come up. Get ready for it. As you exhale, pull your tummy in. Resume that lunge. You're going to take the right arm diagonal across. You're going to pivot on that back heel. Take the entire right side diagonal across to the outside of your left knee. It's a revolved warrior one variation. And then when you've had enough of that, it's full moon time. You're gonna go ahead, pivot into that wide-legged forward fold. And I'll save you the full moon shot there. Go ahead, full moon, head down, booty up, wide-legged forward fold. And then find your choice, because from here you're going to be making your way down to the ground. Coming on down to hands and knees. And then a child's pose with padding underneath your knees. And then walking your hands back towards your lap. And we're going to set up for the big sleep. So, we're going to hit the deck in a moment and we'll be down for the count. But we got a couple more things to do before we completely pass out. But do have all your toys nearby. And lie down. I'm going to bring one knee at a time, both knees into your chest. Rock from side to side. Think about walking your hips away from your shoulders so your back waist is really long, really broad, very spread out on the floor. Let's set one foot down, set both feet down. Then bring that right knee in, flex that right foot, and you're going to cross your right ankle over your left thigh, ankle bone on thigh bone, and swing that right knee out away from your chest. Your right foot is flexed flat. Your left foot is the one on the ground. And you're going to tip or tick-tock side to side. So the foot that's on the floor, I'm rolling from the inside edge to the outside edge of the foot that's on the floor. And depending on how tight you are in the outer hips, this can be quite an experience. So this is your right ankle crossed over and your left foot on the floor. Can you toe heel, wiggle that left foot, the one that's on the floor, over towards the right hand edge of the mat. And then work on letting your shins stack one on top of the other. So if you're familiar with Agni Sara, Agni Stambhasana, fire log pose, we're doing a supine fire log pose. So you're stacking one shin on top of the other. Both feet are flexed flat. You're pressing your thighs away from you. Feeling the stretch in the front of the hip, side of the hip, wherever you happen to be tight. I'm going to keep that right ankle crossed over the left thigh, come back up, heel toe wiggle that left foot back to the left. And now, the moment you've been all waiting for, you're going to bring it in towards your chest. And you can thread that right hand through your legs, hold behind the back of your left thigh, bring everything in closer to your chest. And once again, rock from side to side, getting different areas in your hip to stretch. Now, I always encourage you to hold behind the thigh, because sometimes if you reach out and try to hold around the shin, you end up torquing the knee off to one side or the other. And it's no fun hurting your knee lying on your back. So I encourage you to hold the back side of your thigh rather than around your shin. If you're very flexible, if you've not been doing a lot of belly dancing lately, like I have, if you're able to bring this whole situation in closer to your chest and you do want to hold on to that shin, just make sure you're not torquing or dragging the foot off to one side, that knee stays neutral. Sometimes people really like to bring this in close and then they have to hold around the shin. Just make sure you're not pulling the knee. And then when you've had enough of that, go ahead, shake out a leg or two. And we'll do the whole thing on the other side. So knees bent, feet flat. You're gonna cross your left ankle over your right thigh and just start tick-tocking it side to side. And then we'll work in towards that Agni Stambhasana variation, supine fire log variation. That foot that's on the floor, your right foot, you're going to toe heel that right foot over towards the left-hand edge of the mat. Keep that foot flexed, keep both feet flexed, and press both thighs away. Oh, my pants have a funny pattern here, it's hard to tell my legs apart. If you're pressing your thighs away, both thighs away from your face, encouraging your knees down towards the ground. And again, some of you are a lot more loosey-goosey in the hips than I am. And some of you can actually get your shins all the way down on the ground, stacked one on top of the other. And then when you've had at least 3 or 4 breaths there, you're going to come back up, heel toe that right foot back towards starting position, and then bring that whole situation in toward your chest. You could thread that left hand through your legs, hold behind the back of that right thigh, bring everything in closer, and maybe rock a little bit from side to side. Again, some of you are able to get this whole situation in a lot closer than I am tonight, and you might be able to reach out around that knee, around the shin, bring everything in a lot closer, a lot tighter. And if you do that, make sure you're not dragging your foot off to one side or the other. And then release. All right, knees bent, feet flat, feet as wide apart as the mat. Let your knees tick-tock like windshield wipers, side to side. And then finally come to neutral. You can turn your toes in, let your knees lean together. And you can settle in for a bit of a Shavasana in this position. To get an even more relaxing variation on this constructive rest pose, or Ardha Shavasana, half Shavasana, you can take your belt, tie your thighs together. Either you can buckle your belt or just tie it in a knot. You want it to be a snug belt, but you do not want to cut off circulation. You just want this belt to hold your legs together so that you can relax and not have to hold your legs together yourself. So there is a little bit of space between the legs. They're narrow. The belt is not overly tight, it's just secure. And then the feet go wide. Toes turn in, knees lean together. Pillow underneath your head if you like it. And then settle in. Find your breath. So the autumnal equinox was this week. The time of equal daylight, equal night, equal day. I learned this. Equa means equal. Nox means night. Equinox, equal nox, equal night. Night and day equal length. Now there's a number of breathing techniques I thought about doing tonight. How about we work on even inhales, even exhales. So the ratio of inhale to exhale, the duration of inhale, duration of exhale, let them be equal. This would yield a neutral breathing pattern, neither energizing nor relaxing, just neutralizing, equalizing. So counting silently to yourself, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. Work on cultivating a 3-second inhale and a 3-second exhale. As you breathe in and out through your nose, counting silently to yourself, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. Equalizing the duration of the inhale and the exhale. If you are breathing through your nose, you may notice that a little bit more breath comes through one nostril versus the other. That's absolutely, completely normal and healthy. It is normal that you breathe more through one nostril than the other at any given moment. And it is normal for that to change a couple times per hour. It keeps one side of your nose from drying out. It gives the other side a chance to moisturize before it's back on duty. What other things can you notice about your breathing? When you smooth out the inhale and smooth out the exhale, so that neither is rushed or forced, neither stutters or gets stuck. And you can begin to slowly wiggle your fingers and toes. Stretch your arms and legs. Stretching, moving, even yawning. Make your way slowly over onto your right side. And then using your hands, press yourself up to sit. And we'll finish with hands together. Namaste. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.